So we are at SES San Francisco 2012, and we're here with Bruce Clay, who's expert on local. And since we're talking on local theme, we thought we ask him a few questions as well. How you doing, Bruce?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Good. You've got a lot of experience in local. What would you say is the biggest thing you've seen in local? Is there much difference between different areas?
Sure, and quite frankly, I think that you have to understand that Google is still playing with what local is. So we have seen a lot of fluctuation in the kind of results that local plays. We've seen the places entries is historically what we've been able to observe. It's somewhat rampant. For head terms, we're finding local results show 40% of the time, and they're the standard local results, map on the right, pins down the left, images. It's nicely enhanced. I think that Google, of course, is going to care more about local in the future. We believe that within 18 months, about 70% of all head terms, one-word, two-word queries, are going to have a local impact in the search results. That's going to happen because Google cannot place ads in the organic space, but they own local. You opt in, it's not based on public trust data, so they can do what they will in there, and it's an opportunity to sell ads. So I expect it over the next 3 years to evolve to being a left-hand side ad-rich region. So that's my belief. And because I believe it, I keep my eye open for it. Now, part of what we've seen also is internationally it's not rolling out quite the same. The international component is very much behind where we see the U.S. The U.S., we've seen them play with up to 20 different versions of the Google search results. We've seen them commingle organic with places. We've seen places separately. We've seen places at the top of the page, below the fold, all sorts of things. Also, we're seeing the map, which is what people equate to places, being impacted by people who buy ads and get pins within the pay-per-click space. So some of those things are all happening now. Yeah. It's unfortunate Google hasn't fully defined it and released what I consider to be the final version, but is there a change coming? Yes. Is it what we see today? No. I think Google plus local will have a different flavor and facade to it, but rest assured, local is here for almost every query.
Yeah, so it's going to be big, that's what you're saying?
It's going to be massive.
Okay. So if you are a marketer for a place which has different places in different cities, where do you start?
Well, the right way to start is to standardize all of your input and get into all of the various directories that there are. Google will accept input from some what are considered to be expert sources in authority areas. And when they go through that, they're going to care mostly about is the company name spelled the same everywhere, because that's a vote of confidence that the company name is spelled correctly. Yeah. We're going to have all sorts of issues like that. There's 340 local directories out there. Google takes, I think, reputation from about 22. At least that's the last number I had, and that's U.S. As we get outside of the U.S., I think we're finding that every country has their own separate set of local directories, and therefore Google's going to have to pick if they're going to be doing that. There are not a lot of partners for Google outside of the U.S. yet, but I expect that to be resolved within 6 to 12 months. In the U.S., the hardest part I think a company has is maintaining their data. And part of that is, unfortunately, people who thought they could take advantage of the system. You go to site 1, you put in the company name, it's 42 characters. You go to site 2, you got 100 characters. Yeah. You're going to put in the company name and then stuff in keywords. To Google, there's a mismatch. Yeah. And because there's a mismatch, it lowers your credibility in the places entries. So there's a lot of homework to be done to stabilize and get things right. There's also errors. There's a lot of errors. We had a customer come to us that ran a chain store where there was a pharmacy in each of their outlets, and the pharmacy phone number was actually used as the store number. Oh. So anybody calling the store would always have the phone ring in the pharmacy. So there are some pretty widespread errors out there that we're finding are correctable, but it's labor intensive, so we're going to have to do that as well. This is not low maintenance today.
No, it's a lot of work.
Yes. If you're a large company and you have a mailroom, you got to be careful. Some of the verification methods from Google are postcards. Postcards going into a mailroom are considered junk mail. They throw it out. You lose. You don't end up owning your own addresses. So there has to be a process and a control mechanism in place to make some of this stuff come together.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I hear we have a lot of work to do. So.
Yeah, there is. But I'll tell you, it's worth it.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose your address location to a competitor. And while in SEO we're talking about negative SEO and things like that, within places we're going to find negative places. We're going to find people who will try to grab your address with a disconnected phone number and the wrong number transposed in the street address, and you're going to have one heck of a time getting rid of it once somebody else owns it. So you got to be careful.
Thank you very much, Bruce Clay.
Anytime.